So we really quickly, we started the Agent Gateway project by actually looking at what's out there in the market because we didn't want to invent anything new. If there's a lot of proxy out there to the market that can fit our purpose. What we did find out, unfortunately, is the proxy we look at was Envoy proxy, which I'm sure you are all familiar with and a big fan of, right? It's probably the most mature proxy in the cloud native ecosystem today, right? That was written for cloud native microservices, and it has been battle tested with great performance, a lot of adopters, and some of our favorite projects like Istio adopts Envoy as a sidecar and also as a waypoint proxy. So it would be stupid for us to not leverage Envoy. But in fact, our team actually also have a huge amount of expertise in Envoy. But we end up looking at Envoy supporting protocols such as MCP and HOA. We realize there are significant needs for re-architecture of Envoy, and that speed of re-architecture, working through all that and not breaking existing Envoy user and convince the community, we feel like it could potentially take too long with everything in AI. Everything moves so fast, so we just didn't feel Envoy would be the right fit for us. Also, we had experience in the Israel community with Ambient, where we spent 6 months trying to work through Envoy and use Envoy as the layer for layer with Istio Ambient. And we ended up with 6 months and rewrite the layer for layer of Istio Ambient proxy with a Rust, which we call it a Zero Trust Tunnel, Z tunnel. So with our experience of rewrite the layer for layer of Istio Ambient with Rust, we decided to do something new for Agent Gateway with Rust also. That's kind of how Agent Gateway was born, so that we can provide a high performance proxy that's designed for MCP and HOA, that it can handle the security and governance for communication between agent or MCP client to MCP server, agent to agent, and agent to large language model. So we did dictate through a lot of details, a little bit more details on why are we not using an existing reverse proxy like Envoy. And part of the reason is
or anything, right? The Envoy, I think that what you, well, just to pause to summarize, like what you said about the using Rust and the Z tunnel versus Envoy. Well, what I understand is because in Envoy was like what you have Envoy today is mostly optimized to handle like what is outside the packets, and these protocols A2A and MCP are HTTP, so we're talking about HTTP. So Envoy is mostly optimized for handling like things outside the request, not the body, but inspecting the headers and doing everything, most of the work on the headers. But this MCP and A2A, they're very like JSON RPC messages that you have to inspect, and also the LLM calls. The use cases are required you to open the body, right, of that request, inspect it, make decisions either like to allow or not allow, or augment or not augment, or like parse it. So with the Envoy technology, it's very slow, and using Rust to do that parsing of that body is faster. That's kind of the conclusion of the speed. Why Rust is better.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We call this layer 8, right? The context layer, which Envoy was not designed to handle, right? Envoy was a great proxy, or any other reverse proxy in the market was designed to handle from layer 3, layer 4 to layer 7 to the HTTP layer, but not the contents of the messages. So that's why we call it the context layer. So
Is layer 8 is a real thing, or we just call it? I didn't know it was a
I
layer
think
8.
people start talking about layer 8 as the context layer,
Okay.
which is it's important for AI, but was not very important for microservices. And having a proxy, having some knowledge of that layer 8, that providing the context and conversation is important in the age of AI. So this is why exactly how Agent Gateway was created. So when we started the Agent Gateway, we thought about serving it as different types of gateway. The first type, obvious, is MCP gateway, right? Because everybody is adopting MCP. So with Agent Gateway, you can having a MCP, multiple MCP server. That Agent Gateway provides security and governance. So we call it multiplex of your MCP server. That's one of the capability Agent Gateway can provide. It can also provide authentication, authorization, and also telemetry on your Agent Gateway, on your MCP server through Agent Gateway. So that's one of the key capability of the Agent Gateway. The other key capability of Agent Gateway, I'm scrolling down a little bit to 31 now,
Okay.
is providing as a LLM gateway. In fact, we have a lot of users in the community. They are using different large language models, and even from their own laptop, right? When they vibe coding, they sometimes using Claude Code. Some of the new model with Claude, or sometimes they use ChatGPT, GPT. Sometimes they use Gemini. So Agent Gateway can serve as a LLM gateway to help you to handle like failover between different models, to do rate limiting, to do some type of security and governance control as your agent or your client talk to large language models. So I think that's a second most important use case besides the MCP gateway for Agent Gateway. The third one is inference gateway. I don't think everybody uses inference, but for for people who providing GPU infrastructure, training and serving large language models or train your own models, inference gateway could be very useful because it provides AI aware routing that based on metrics unique to the models and the availabilities on top of like the traditional gateway.
And what are the other projects that are in this space of this feature inference gateway? Is it things like light LLM
Yeah,
or VLLM?
That's a great question. So Inference Gateway, we didn't create that concept. We actually is a Kubernetes SIG network project. So if you go to Inference Gateway in the Kubernetes website, which I'm going to go there and send you all a link. And if you go to implementation tab, and if you look at the gateway out there, there's a bunch of gateway already implements inference gateway. For instance, Istio is one of the projects that implements inference gateway.
This one, right?
Yeah, I think you got it, but I'm sending a link in case. So I think this is the guide. What I was sending is the implementation. So if you go there, you can see a bunch of implementation like Alibaba Envoy AI Gateway, Google GKE, Istio KGateway with Agent Gateway, and there's also Nginx and Kubernetes.
So to be clear, this gateway, does it have a concept and API overview? Like so there's a different CRDs to like the inference pool. I guess the inference pool and the inference object are the things that are implemented in terms of
That's right. They are essentially the extension of the Gateway API. So on top of the classical Gateway API resources, such as Gateway and HTTP route, you can bind your inference pool. And I think inference objective, if I remember, is optional. So you can specify these are the pools that can providing the endpoint for the route to select which of the endpoint should go to. And it can be based on some of the unique characteristic for inference workload, such as, response time for the inference, such as whether the model is actually even loaded on the endpoint, right? Because you're not just talking about one or two models in this case. So there are unique metrics related to inference, and this inference gateway that implements this API has the intelligence to be able to select the right endpoint for our end user. So the response time could potentially be improved. Yeah.
So this sits in front of like this of the model servers.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where VLM comes in, right? You install things like VLM or Slang. VLM is very popular, and this is what actually knows how to like, serve the model. I'm guessing, right? And then the gateway is in front of it. This aspect is in front of it, right? I thought.
Yeah.
The API.
To route the request to the right one who can serve the model to the fastest. Yeah.
Okay. So going back to the book, what it means is that if you're going to put like this in order, like you can say that the request can come into the LLM gateway features, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of talking to an external like OpenAI, Gemini, like Amazon Bedrock, this other jump, instead of talking to that, it'll be talking to an inference gateway, and the inference gateway then talks to VLM. Is that the right hubs of like connectivity?
That's a great question. Yeah, when I use it, I did use VLM associated with it, but I don't know if VLM is a requirement for inference gateway. It's just the stack I use to test it. I believe the doc also refers to VLM a lot. I think also because VLM is relatively easy to use and they have a pretty nice simulator you can use along with it, but I don't think VLM is a requirement.
No. What I mean, like, but the requirement is inference gateway talks to something, and that something will be the model server. And like I show in the website, the model servers can be something like VLLM, anything that implements the model server protocol. What I mean, right?
Oh,
Anything
yeah.
that
So
implements
basically,
this model. VLLM, it happens to be one implementation.
yeah.
It's Triton Tensor. I guess it's from TensorFlow. Tensor RT. Tensor RT is very also, I've seen that anywhere. And then Slang, which I'm not familiar with it, but it looks like it's from LoRa. So that's what I meant about the hubs on like the connectivity of things. That's something that I was like getting my head around when I saw the two things happening in the agent gateway, like the LLM consumption, but the LLM consumption can hit a, I guess you can have two targets, right? And that's, maybe we'll go deeper into it. In the LLM gateway, you can set two targets. One could be like a public API or one of these, right, that is hosted. And another target can be one implemented through the inference gateway that it could be something running in GPUs in Kubernetes, right?
Right.
Internal.
Yeah, so one is about consuming large language model, which is the LLM gateway. The other one is serving, right?
Yeah.
Serving the model, which is the inference gateway. How can we serve it more efficiently?
But I thought that okay, there was a function which is, to me, is very interesting. The one that inspects the request, the prompt, and I can augment the prompt. Which one does that? Is the LLM consumption, or is that the inference gateway?
I think it's the inference gateway.
I see. Okay, so the LLM consumption is just the first call to maybe get the token count, I guess, right? Things
Actually,
like that.
maybe I didn't understood you correctly. If you are referring to augment the
Prompt.
the prompt to
Yeah.
sanitize the prompt. That's the LLM gateway. So the LLM gateway typically has the capability to do like rate limiting on your request, token-based rate limiting, be able to sanitize your prompt, stripped out confidential information, be able to do kind of providing a little bit caching on the LLM gateway. So if you're sending the same request or similar request, it doesn't have to ask the model. The caching layer could kick in and providing less cost, immediate response, and plus less hit on your model.
Okay, that's the LLM consumption.
Yeah,
I got it. Yeah, the inference is more tied into the basically implementing the API from the SIG, right? And it's up
yeah,
to them. Like that's kind of like implementation. Like you don't dictate the features or anything. You implement that spec that is from the SIG. Okay,
yeah.
I
And
got
then
it.
you pass the compliance test, which KGateway with Agent Gateway did pass the compliance test.
Okay.
And then Agent Gateway can run by itself on your local machine, which I run it all the time, but you can also run it within Kubernetes. So if you're running it within Kubernetes, KGateway provide a nice control plane to allow you to program Agent Gateway using Kubernetes Gateway API and its extension. So it will be very familiar interface, like API resources for you if you are a fan of Kubernetes and plan to use Agent Gateway in Kubernetes. Definitely worth checking out a control plane so you don't have to program the proxy yourself.
I got it. And these are the different type of gateways that it can create: LLM gateway, MCP gateway,
Yep.
inference, and I guess normal ingress API gateway, right?
Oh,
Like
yes,
from
that's the
normal
last thing.
HTTP.
Yeah, that's the last thing I was going to say. Yeah, so in addition to all the three ones that's AI related, the normal ingress gateway is also supported in Agent Gateway, right? Because what we believe, the reason we support it is also what we believe is you're not just going to have AI workload. Most likely, you also have your traditional microservices in your cluster or outside of your cluster, especially in Kubernetes. So we think it's a good fit. In fact, we're in the middle of development the migration tool from Nginx Ingress to Agent Gateway also, so people could potentially migrate if they want. They have plans to do AI related workload. They could potentially migrate once with move to Envoy and then move to Agent Gateway down the road.
Oh, which tool is that? Can you share?
The tool is under development. We're going to release it very soon. It's like the Ingress to Gateway release support for Agent Gateway. So we just released that tool for KGateway with Envoy based 2 weeks ago, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So if you have the okay. So because it used to be KGateway was based on Envoy, so people that had that implementation, they want to move to Agent Gateway. It's like it's a migration tool specific to this.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I think I understood like something generic from Nginx
No,
to API Gateway.
it's the generic ingress to gateway tool provided by Kubernetes upstream. So, but
Okay.
each provider needs to write its own specific code. So yeah.
Yeah, and this for people that don't know or people are watching, this is due to that in March, the Nginx Ingress project by Kubernetes upstream, the one that is maintained, is shutting down. Right, there's not going to be more updates, and they're encouraging everyone to move to API Gateway. Right, and that's like the different providers are like putting their implementation on how to migrate that Nginx Ingress. And it comes down to a bunch of annotations, right? It's like 1,000 annotations that you put in an ingress or a service for Nginx. It's like all those annotation needs to be translated to whatever provider settings now are in Gateway. So yeah, and then this part is around like creating an MCP. So this is like the examples of the YAML, right? So when you create a backend, it's like type MCP, what other types could be there? Like A2A so as another type, Lynn?
I have to double check. We definitely support MCP. I'm not sure if we support A2A at the moment. We do support A2A for agent gateway itself,
I
but
see.
program is through KGateway. I have to double check on that. But we do
That's why I
support.
was reading the docs and I saw the MCP examples. Agent connectivity. I don't think this is this it.
Yeah, connect to an agent. What did it say? I suspect it's all local. Oh, maybe we do
HTTP
support
routes.
A2A. And what's the backend? Does it
No,
needs to spec?
there's no backend
Oh, the backend is just a normal service.
service on 9090. So
The backend is just a normal service, I think.
it looks like it doesn't have the
Special type.
agent gateway A2A capabilities, right? The agent gateway has on A2A things that it can do on A2A.
I think it doesn't have a unique capability, yeah, but you could just treat it as a normal service if I'm reading correctly.
And
Yeah.
not taking advantage of the. But is that in the roadmap of adding
We
those
have to check.
agent
I have
gateway
to double
capabilities?
check. Right now, we're not seeing a lot of adoption for A2A, but you tell me if you see differently. I think most of people are asking for MCP, which is the strongest adoption point.
Yeah, I think A2A comes into play on the normal authentication, but I guess using it like this, you can still use the policy sections, right, to handle like JWKS or authentication or like issuer. Those policies, right, still apply, but it.
Oh yeah, basic policy would apply, but if it's A2A specific context related, that's when it's yeah. But the basic policy, actually we do support A2A setting. Notice the service using app protocol A2A, so I think there's definitely some
Protocol.
support, yeah, to be
Here.
able to recognize it as a special service
Okay.
for A2A. Yeah.
I think I saw the MCP one just for people, and this is why I like to like static MCP, right? It provides this way of specifying it, right? The same
Yeah,
thing
that's
you were
an
saying.
important way to declare your service as a MCP service. Yeah. By the way, the resource is a little bit different than the book, which we will need to update the book because we recently had an API change to make the API more like the agent gateway API outside of Kubernetes, because we had a lot of user complaining about the API changes drastically between agent gateway outside of Kubernetes and the agent gateway in Kubernetes. So that's why you see it.
But the syntax is correct, the one in the website.
The one in the website matches to the latest drive build. The one in the
Let's
book
go to
is
the book.
2.1. Yeah. The one in the book is called backend. Right now we call it the agent gateway backend. Yeah.
Okay. So just for and this is useful, right? That's why I like to have the book and the website side by side, because I was looking at the website. But yeah, you can define it. I think as concepts, yeah, you can, and this is something that you mentioned of the benefits. And then HTTP route is your normal API gateway routes, right? For the gateway.
Yeah, that's right. So that's all normal, except it just point to the agent gateway as the backend. Yeah. And this is just the configuration. It just show you how simple the configuration is compared with Envoy. This is exactly the advantage of developing our own proxy. Very opinionated to support what we wanted to support, and we know this from Istio Ambient as well. Yeah, it's very human readable, which is what we like about it.
So this configuration is I'm guessing similar or is it exact the one that you would use for, like, if you were going to be using the agent gateway binary with a config file? This is the things that you will see there.
It's similar, but not exactly the same, because this is the XDS configuration.
I see.
But it's pretty readable to us.
Because I saw listeners, and I know listeners is in the other one. Okay, so it's pretty. But anything that it gets configured for agent gateway will be in this payload, in this config. There's no extra config. It's just one.
It's just a slightly different format. Yes.
Great. And then in here, it shows an example on
Yeah, I can probably jump to a
yeah, let's
demo now
jump.
if you want me to.
Let me stop sharing.
All right, so let me go ahead. Well, hopefully it works. I didn't do a lot of practice, but finger crossed. All right, let me actually, because I have 2 windows, so I'm going to go ahead.
Oh, there's I wasn't watching the chat. There's a question that does it support mutual TLS capability as well as like Envoy? Lynn.
Sorry.
Go ahead. After you set up,
No, I'm trying to see. What is the question? I didn't see it. I saw
MTLS.
Oh, the
MTLS.
mutual TLS. Yes, we do support. In fact, we just recently added a function of Agent Gateway support mutual TLS to Istio Ambient. Yes. Actually, I will show that. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, sorry guys, I missed. I thought she answered the question already, so I kind of skipped it. Also, Tony says this is almost the same scary moment as the first time signing up for a cloud account with a credit card and taking the first steps. At least this is not Gesta.
Oh, using LLM, Tony, you mean?
I think the whole gateway setups and like you have now more than one. Yeah, you have already. Go ahead, Tony. Sorry.
Yeah, but KAgent install -n KAgent, and you need a OpenAI API, and then you need to sign up, and it's this Pandora's box.
You can also install it with Olama if you prefer local LLM.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I think you can. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the LLM usage. Like from an agent gateway or KAgent, you need access to LLM, and yeah, Olama is something that people use for testing locally.
All right, sorry, I've just been closing some of the windows. All right, let's see if I can show you a demo. So you guys can see my screen, right? I have my Argo environment running.
Yes.
And I have a simple Argo application deployed. Let me show you all my cluster. Let me put this a little bit bigger. Sorry, I was just adjusting the demo screen. So let's see what I have on my cluster. So I have, actually, let me go ahead, sync the Argo application over. And looks like it's progressing. It just synced. So let me come here. And I have this agent gateway. Okay, I have a bunch of things I'm going to try to clean up a little bit. So I'm going to clean up this front end and agent gateway proxy because I want to deploy that live. So I'm going to exit this out, and actually let me just delete this, and also delete front end, and I'm going to also delete back end, because the reason I want to delete is because I had to go to an appointment, so I didn't have the time to set this up. But the font size is okay. Yes. All right.
Let's see.
Yes, we can see everything. It's really good.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
I'll just keep this side. So I have Argo installed in my cluster. I have Agent Gateway installed. You can see this is the Agent Gateway control plane, and it should be able to program Agent Gateway for us. I have Istio installed. I believe I have Istio Ambient also enabled on the default namespace. On the KAgency namespace, I have KAgent installed. I have a simple agent installed as part of KAgent, which I developed. It's called AI Reliability Agent, which we actually touched it in our book, chapter 5. And what else do I have? Okay, I have MCP in a namespace dedicated for MCP. And in this namespace, I have a couple of MCP server deployed. One of the MCP server is Argo MCP server, which I grabbed from the official Argo project. I installed it that way through KMCP. And I also have GitHub MCP server installed through KMCP. I have Agent Gateway installed. In this case, I'm deploying Agent Gateway, I believe, through a gateway resource, which I'm going to show you the resource. The resource is very simple. I expose 2 ports on my Agent Gateway. One is the HTTP port for MCP. The other one is also a HTTP port for traditional microservices, because my backend also have serving traffic on the traditional microservices, and you can see it has a nice status. GitHub. Okay, so I'm seeing the comment about GitHub repository install on MCP KAgent. So that instruction is actually in the book on how to install. If you use the version I have in my book, it should work. I'm running on a slightly newer version because some of the feature move. But if you want to get a hands-on, to get a working version, the best way is just using the version I have in my book, or wait until Amsterdam when I update the book. All right, so the other thing I want to quickly show you is, let's see what I have. In my cursor, I'm using cursor, but you don't have to use cursor. I kind of config mcp.json. This is basically to tell cursor, hey, I have Argo MCP server, which I expose port forward of this MCP agent gateway here. If I go to port forward, you can see I expose on port 3000. Which is the MCP server. I also expose on 3001, which is the traditional microservice port. So if we go to cursor, you can see I config. This is my ArgoCD's endpoint. All right, let me launch quickly just to do a quick test, and let me launch my sorry, I was trying to find out. Okay, I'm going to launch my npx MCP inspector. How many of you actually use MCP inspector?
Yes, that's a very good tool. You
Yeah.
can put it in the chat. Yeah, you said I mean, if you're developing MCP servers or debugging MCP, it's the way to go with. There's also an A2A inspector.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to connect this to my MCP agent gateway, right? So this is the local 3000/MCP is my agent gateway endpoint. If I click on list tools, I should be able to see all the tools listed. Right now, it's only the Argo tools, right? Because in my agent gateway, I only config the backend agent gateway backend to be Argo. I'm going to in a minute I'll add the GitHub and the other stuff, but for now I'll just do Argo. So right now, if I go to my cursor, you can see I just ask cursor, can you list my Argo application using ArgoCD MCP? And cursor was able to run the ArgoCD MCP tool called list the application, which you probably see it here. And to be able to list the application I have, which is mutual TLS demo. And then I'm going to ask a cursor to do something else to save time. I'm going to paste this in. Using ArgoCD MCP server. By the way, the reason I ask cursor to use ArgoCD MCP server is because cursor is very smart. If I don't tell cursor to use ArgoCD MCP server, sometimes cursor think out the other way. So I want to make sure I can force it to use it. I'm going to ask cursor to create an Argo application called demo disable autosync. And this is my demo repository. This is the folder. I want to deploy it in the default namespace. So let's go, see if it works. All right, so okay, I don't think it uses, let's see, create an ArgoCD application. Look, it's actually, so Cursor is actually asking me, which I'm using Cursor as an MCP client, right? Ask me, are you going to allow me to? So I'm going to go ahead, allow. So this is a create application command provided by the MCP, Argo MCP server, which we should see right here. So this is basically this command, and Cursor is smart enough to figure out it's going to deploy this. All right, it's been created. So let's jump back into Argo. Sorry, I have a little bit too many windows pop. So this is our application, right? So I didn't ask Cursor to sync it for me. Remember, I asked disable. So I'm going to manual sync because it's more fun to do manual sync in a demo, but you could configure auto sync. So what this is going to do is it's going to deploy everything in this YAML directory, which is going to deploy a gateway configuration in the default namespace, because I want to stand up an agent gateway for my front-end application. And it's going to configure it to using the certificates from Istio, so that the gateway knows to connect to any pods in Istio through mutual TLS. So it's basically grab the certificate authority from Istio. By the way, it's configurable. If you're using an external CA, this is all fully configurable, but I'm taking the simple configuration. And also I'm deploying a front end application, which is also in the default namespace. And I'm also deploy a backend application. In this case, I actually specify I'm deploy the backend in the MCP namespace, because the backend is also serving as a MCP along with the traditional microservices. All right, not sure why the emoji keep popping up. I think we are out of time. So let me show you the application here. So if we go to pods here, do we want to end, or do you want me to go a few more minutes?
I don't know.
Well, it's up to you. I don't have a hard stop, and I'm really enjoying this part. But if you have other commitments, maybe 5 minutes more.
Yeah, maybe 5 minutes more. Okay. So you can see my front end is deployed, and I have the agent gateway deployed, right? I have the backend also deployed. And in order for the backend to be wired up with the agent gateway, all I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and register my backend, which is the backend.mcp, along with GitHub, which you already see GitHub deployed. I'm also going to wire up KAgent as an MCP server, because KAgent has the capability to expose agents as MCP server. So I'm going to highlight all this and uncomment this out. And I'm going to hit on the save button, and I'm going to go ahead, jump on here to deploy the updated resource. Note this is not part of the application, because this is typically controlled by the admin. So I didn't put it into Argo. So we should have the MCP gateway config with multiplexing now. So if I go to the okay, so if I go to here, proxy authentication is required. I think I'm on the wrong window. I need to go to here because it's connected to here. All right, that's why. So if I'm connected here, if I go to the tools, what do you expect to see if I do list of the tools? So right now, because of multiplexing, not only I got to see all the tools from Argo, I also got to see the tools from GitHub. I got to see the tools from finger crossed, it would show up to get zone, which is from the backend. The backend has some capability to program in the my zone. I also should be able to see KAgent. So it actually has a capability to list the agents. So we should be able to run the command, finger crossed. So right now, we should be able to list the agent, And ta-da, we do have one agent running, which is the AI reliability agent. All right, one last thing I want to show. I have 2 minutes. So I'm going to hop onto Agent Gateway in the default namespace and try to reach out my application. And in order for me to reach out to the application, I'm going to set up, sorry, I pressed the wrong key. I'm going to set up port forwarding of Agent Gateway on 8888. So with that, I'm going to hop on here to see if I can visit the application. So the application actually is running, and you guys can see my screen, right? I'm not sure if actually it would connect to the webcam because I'm using the webcam right now. So if it shows, I guess it actually shows. Yeah, so basically this is the application. I'm going to stop here, but it's not so fun to show the application live now. But the application also have the capability to connect to a Zoom, which I don't think I have enough time to show, and be able to kind of landing and fly the Zoom and be able to take pictures. What I was hoping to show though, which I don't think I have time, is I can actually invoke an agent from MCP or from Cursor, and I can also call an agent in KAgent from KAgent. So just really quickly to wrap this up, I'm going to show you kind of like a flow of what we have seen. Actually, maybe my Kayali is not running, but I was hoping to show you all. Let's see. So we got Argo pushed. I was hoping to show you. Okay, so this is what the AI reliability agent did for me yesterday. So basically, I asked it to create a route from the agent gateway proxy to the front end, and it was able to create a PR for me. So if you go to my repository yesterday, and it was actually generated this particular, as part of a KAgent, generate the route configuration for me, and I was able to fix the route, get the route working. So yeah, so that was, it was not in a whole way, but you get to sense we were able to use agent in KAgent, we were able to use multiplexing from the agent gateway. We were able to use the ArgoCD MCP server running in Kubernetes cluster from any MCP client like Cursor or the inspector. So yeah, with that, I'm going to pass the mic back to you and stop sharing.
Thank you, Lynn. This was an excellent demo. I'm kind of blown by the opportunities here, and thank you for your time. Like, these have been great 3 sessions. I'm sad to say goodbye to you because now we have to finish this book here, but I think Carlos and I will keep doing this, and if you happen to have the time, feel free to join. Don't be a stranger. So without further ado, I'll close the session to be mindful of the time. Everyone, thanks for joining, and we'll be here next week. We'll try to play with MCPs and KAgent and Agent Gateway. Hopefully we'll get somewhere. I'm only at the beginning of this journey, so just follow our noob steps. And thank you, Lynn. This was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you all for having me. Sorry, it was ad hoc because my son's appointment, but hope to see you all in Amsterdam.
Yes, hope to see you here with the new edition of the book as well. And please, guys, you can always ask on Kubernetes Book Club, and if you test something, happen to have questions about examples in the book, you can always ask us or our authors there. Okay. All right. Have a lovely week, and see you in the next one. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank
See
you.
you.
Cheers, Lynn. It was super nice to host you here. Take care.
Thank you for hosting. Bye.
Bye.